thank you for joining us. And
Leora.
We're going to do a short FROEBEL Insights on Positive Behaviour Guidance to talk about some of the key concepts that come out with supporting children's emotional regulation. There's been a lot of work with supporting families transition also to early learning centres and helping them understand the process of what happens when they move from being at home into an early learning service. And then my understanding is that you've also worked then with those families when they've had second children and been part of their lives for quite some time.
Yes. Well, I mean, parents are the more important people in the children's life, and their relationship with them means safety and protection to children. So when children are taken to a place where they're not familiar with and they haven't got those relationships with these people, there is a very, very scary time for children. And that brings, huge, big emotion, because for children, especially younger ones that still don't understand separation physically, basically they believe their parents may never come back and they're going to be left in a place where there's no familiar with people that they don't know really whether they're going to be nice to them or whether they're going to keep them safe. So it's a very difficult time, and you need to be, the children need to be supported, and I think the parents need to be supported too, because for parents, even parents that don't show their emotion, I think for them it's a real big time too, to leave a child with someone that they don't know, in a place that they don't know, and they're hoping, of course, it's going to be the best place for the children. But sometimes parents do not talk about it. They put that sort of, what do you call it, a face that, I'm not worried, but they are inside, and that pass to children too. So I think both of them, parents and the child, need support for that transition to be a successful transition.
One of the things I think that we do really nicely at FROEBEL is have an orientation process with the intent to build those relationships and support the children and the parents to come in, spend time in the room that they're going to be in, meet the educators, become familiar with the spaces, and then the parent slowly comes out of the room while the child stays in the space. So I think that, understanding for parents that time is really valuable as well. It's not just a time for children, it's the whole family, I suppose, the centre and the family that builds that relationship. And I suppose that relationship is a key word in terms of supporting emotional regulation.
Absolutely, that relationship. I was just reading an article from the Harvard University that talks about how important their relationship that educators can build with the children, the significant in their life, because when those relationships are positive, caring and warm, children are more likely to be happy there, willing to learn, willing to also to take risk, of course, in a safety way. So that can be really, really important for success in the school, and for parents feeling, my child is happy there, my child is having this beautiful relationship that they will never replace the attachment figures. This is another relationship that is important in their life, but doesn't mean they replace, the attachment, the parents' relationship. But if the children can go to the center and feel happy and feel safe, they can learn, they discover, they can explore freely and be successful, later in life, because those relationships stay in your memories and they build inside of you, so you can remember that you had a good time and someone was caring for you when you were there.
Can you maybe share a little bit about when children do have those big emotions, when they are transitioning or they are through the day with their educators, some of the ways that work really well to support children and to help that co-regulation, and maybe a little bit about the difference between co-regulation and self-regulation in the context of early childhood?
First of all, children are not mature. So they're not able to manage big emotions. And we're talking about maybe anger, we're talking about sadness, we can talk about, being very upset and even extremely happy. So children are not able to do that. We adults support them to be able to build that skills, because the brain is a muscle, so they need to be you need exercises, and we need to help them. Children are not going to understand how to manage those emotions if we don't help them. The way we do that is by supporting children, first of all, to tune in. So what does it mean? It means that you try to understand what is it that happened to the child. What is it that he or she is upset about something or angry about something? So if we can even just be there sometime and try to understand, empathize with the child's feeling, it helps the child to begin to start calming down. We know that scientifically it's been proved that words or even being with the child physically, maybe just touching, if it's possible, because sometimes children are so upset, don't allow us to touch them, but to be close to them and show them, I'm here with you in this moment, that this emotion is so big for you, you cannot manage it, but I'm here with you. First of all, to keep you safe. So that's we need to, look at safety.
Yep.
Safety, and I mean safety with the physical safety, because sometimes children go down and they hit themselves or maybe hit someone. So we need to make sure there is safety. Tune in and understanding, what's going on for the child. And if you cannot describe it, at least there's something is happening. So you can say, I know you're having an enormous big feeling and you cannot manage, but I'm here with you to help you. So the adult need to be working on staying calm. And sometimes it's really difficult because you are triggered by what your child is experiencing. So you maybe feel the same way, but you don't know, but you are feeling the same way. So it's very hard for you to manage that emotion, to be able to help the child. So very quickly, perhaps as an adult, to have those seconds that you breathe in, you breathe out, and it's not about you, it's about the child. And being able to do that. So when the child is in a position to start calming down, and this is what is called co-regulation. You can calm another person by being there, feeling what this child or this person is feeling, and being able to breathe in and start you coming down, so the child is calmed down. It start coming down. That's called co-regulation. Children are not going to be able to self-regulate if they don't experience co-regulation, because there's no other way for them to learn how to develop those skills. Now, when you've done that, you can move to, depends on the age, you can move to talk about it. If you know what the child is feeling, you could say, I've seen you're so upset about because you couldn't get that toy, or you're so upset because mom is gone, and you think that your mom is not coming back. So you reflect on it. Trying to describe what you see and what you feel. You only can guess because you can get into somebody's brain.
Yep.
And then when you see the child is calm, and you could say, that was a big feeling. Yeah, it was a really big feeling, really hard to manage, but we managed together. And then you can move to finding out what the problem was, and maybe working on trying to get, what can we do next time? If the child, sometimes children get upset or hit someone because they want to connect with another child. So we can teach children different ways when we know, you really wanted to play with them so-and-so, and you didn't know how to do that. So we can help the child. Do you think you can ask? Or what is it you think that you can do to be able to play with someone like that? Self-regulation will not come up by itself. adults, we need to help the children to learn how to regulate by co-regulating. So we do it together.
I think you touched on a really important point, that it's about being with the child, and it's not about talking in that moment, because they have a disconnect between the emotion that's happening and their rational brain, and they're not in a position, I guess, to hear what you're saying. So it almost becomes pointless, right, to try and have a conversation about, don't do this or don't do that, or, mum will come back, or no, you can't take the toy right now, or that's not appropriate. It's really about sitting in that moment.
Exactly.
And acknowledging the emotion before you go into what you could do next time.
Exactly. And the other thing that you were saying is that we don't want to get the child out of that emotion so quickly, because children need to experience that also. It's important that they learn to tolerate certain emotion. What is it? Because we're always going to have feelings. We are human beings, that we are, we have emotions all the time. We can have 2 or 3 emotions of crying and be extremely happy at the same time. So that's what we are. We are emotional individuals or people. So what is important to know that we help the children to stay with the feeling. When you are with a big emotion and someone is with you, you are more capable to learn to tolerate that emotion and to direct that emotion in a positive way. So, for example, because you're angry, let's say I'm very angry, I'm gonna go to the center and I'm gonna kick someone. So that's socially inappropriate. But my feelings are okay. I'm angry.
Yeah.
But I need to direct my feelings, that energy, into a positive way. So there's different ways of doing that. So you can do it, meditation. You can sit with someone and have a hug. So there's different ways. So that's why we need to teach children. First of all, tune in, acknowledge they're having a big feeling, but not to take them away from that feeling so quickly. Not to offer solutions so quickly, because then they're not learning to tolerate. There's something that is called the window of tolerance. So we got the green zone where, we move up and down and we sort of tolerate emotions and things. Then there's the top of the window where there's the red and where we get really out of control. And then is the blue one where we sort of, we can't do anything, we feel hopeless. So we want our children to be able to extend the window of opportunity. This is the green zone, where you go up and down, but you never go to the extreme of chaos, or you never get to the depressed or feeling hopeless. So by allowing them to tolerate that emotion, to stay with the emotion a little longer, depends on the age, we allow them to do that. We're teaching them to do that.
I wonder if we could just do a quick, almost like a scenario. So you talked about knocking my knee, and you go, don't get over it. But okay, I've fallen over and I've knocked my knee and I'm crying as a child in the centre, or on my way into care. And, mum's trying to get me off into my room because she has to go to work. And I'm in a frenzy state because I've knocked my knee. What would be a kind of, you have sample kind of words or phrases that you could use in those situations? Because that would happen. Mum has to leave, the educator has to be there, the child's having a big emotion. We know it's not such a massive fall, they've just knocked their knee, but they're also separating at that time. So maybe, I'm crying and carrying on and mum's there and you're the educator. What's the kind of words that you would use or would help?
I think sometimes, obviously, have been in a hurry as a parent, that is obviously very understanding, makes you agitated as a parent. So you are agitated already as you fell down, and I'm going to be late, and my boss is going to get, or I'm going to miss my train, or it's totally understandable, okay? But sometimes, maybe if we just work a little bit, for 1 minute, we save all the things. So what I would say to the child, you fell down, that must have hurt a lot. Okay, well, I understand that. It's, maybe, I don't know, Leora, I'm going to put you as an educator. Leora's coming here, and I'm sure, and she's going to keep you safe. What about if we talk to her and I tell her that you fell down, if it's possible to talk? Because it all depends how, or maybe the child is more worried about mom leaving than the fall. The fall happens as an effect of mom is going to leave, and she's not going to be here. So you can also say, oh, sweetie, I know you get worried when I leave. You don't want me to leave. And I know that's a big thing for you. But you know what? Leora's coming. And she's going to keep you safe. And she's going to look after you while I'm at work.
Yeah.
And a big hug. Children's touch is a really important thing for children when it's possible. It really works. In terms of, you give him a big hug. I'm going to miss you so much. I know this is difficult for you, but Leora is here. And Leora have to take responsibility for. So Leora does is say, sweetie, I know you fell down. I know you're so worried about mommy. I'll take you with me and I'll keep you safe. And we can sit down for a little while, whatever it's possible to do until you get better. Children usually get better very soon when they feel, okay, mommy's gone, but I know you're going to keep me safe. And I'm talking about emotional safety. Yes. I'm not talking necessarily, of course, physical, but I'm talking about feeling, I'll be, I'm going to stay here with you. I know how you feel, and I'm with you.
Yep.
I don't know what that is.
And I think we often see that the educators in the room will see that transition and the child settle once the parents have left as well. And I think that's something that, is quite reassuring for families, is that children do kind of calm down or find a friend or find an experience that they're going to play with, and the moment kind of passes, but acknowledging their feeling at the beginning means that they've been heard, right? And you can kind of go, I hear you, you're upset, and that's okay.
We have to acknowledge that they felt. We don't know how much it hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes physically maybe not hurt, but some children's getting shocked when they fall down. It's like, what happened to me? So we have to acknowledge that for them is something big. Now, we don't have to be there all day going on and on. We have to tune in, acknowledge, and then if it's possible to move on as a parent, to pass it to Leora, because Leora obviously have to be there and might have to go, and you can acknowledge mommy have to go now, and she's also in a hurry because she needs to work. She'll be back, and then of course, depends on the situation. Offer, alternative choices. Would you like to stay here with me for a little while, or would you like to move on and play, or whether the child can actually, if he's ready to make those decisions, to be able to move on. We don't want to all day to talk about the fall in the morning.
I think we've spoken a lot about kind of sadness and anger. The same thing happens when children get particularly excited, right? I've seen like that overexcitement and what can be perceived as inappropriate behaviour, and people try to bring the child down and tell them, this is not okay, rather than maybe acknowledging that I can see you're so excited about this.
Yes. We need to look at big emotions, that even if they are, about excitement or about being angry or upset, sort of the same. Acknowledging, and instead have the boundaries. It's important that children have the boundaries, because that makes them feel safe. Children may push. Are you going to keep me safe? I'm going to do this, and I'm going to try to see whether you're going to keep me safe or not, because they need the protection. They need to know that you'll be there in the difficult moments. So when something is inappropriate, you acknowledge it, and you also have to say it. For example, as I said before, you're so excited that you jump on the table. Well, tables are not jumping, but you offer an alternative. Or you're so excited that you throw in the toys away or something like that. And you say toys are not for throwing. So, but you can do something else. So you give an alternative. I think it's really important not to use don't do that, or things that are they're not concrete. We need to tell the children what they don't do and right, without yelling, without being angry, but we tell them, you're hitting me. You're so angry that you are hitting me. Well, I'm not for hitting, but if you're so angry, maybe, you can think about something else to do, or hold you, or something else because children, we all need to get out of that energy, because feelings are energy. So we need to direct the energy in a way. We need to get it out, but also we need to help them to direct it in a positive way.
Yeah. So I think we could keep talking for so long about so many topics and so many examples. Maybe let me know if I've summed this up correctly, and this is kind of the key takeaways. Tuning into children to kind of really see and notice what we think they may be feeling, to be able to acknowledge it. But while we're tuning into them, we also have to tune into ourselves, because if we're feeling kind of heightened and anxious, that could also be a trigger for the child's emotion that's happening. When we tune into them and we acknowledge how they may be feeling, so at least labeling it, so talking about emotions all the time, I can see you feel, or it looks like you feel sad, or it looks like you may be excited, which I guess gives the child an opportunity to go, no, I'm really angry, or give you the alternative if they've got the language. But we're also teaching them the language around it. If we label those emotions that we think are happening, we're then teaching children emotional language. And to co-regulate, to sit with children, to be in that emotion, that then allows them to develop that window of tolerance for self-regulation.
Exactly.
And when they are doing something that's not socially acceptable or appropriate, or within the moment, that we are giving them and acknowledging that emotion and feeling and energy, and redirecting them to something so that they can still feel that, but in a more appropriate way.
Exactly. I think the last part you said it's really important also, in terms of not judgmental, sort of you doing the wrong thing. We don't want to use those, because it scares children. And when children become fearful, they will do things that are inappropriate, and they know how to do it.
I wonder if anyone has any questions or further questions, and they wanted to ask you or elaborate on something, we can suggest that they get in contact. So we might be able to facilitate further discussion, or if they wanted to contact you for further information.
Sure.
We can set that up. But otherwise, I'd like to say thank you so much for sharing that insight. It's a really big topic. I think we tried to put a lot into a small space, and really appreciate the tip of the iceberg.